As we pause to celebrate Juneteenth today, we want to highlight the contributions of African Americans to the history of New York.
Yeah, before there was Harlem, there was Seneca Village and San Juan Hill. New York City was also home to several underground railroad stops. There was another side to Wall Street that very seldom gets told. So the Black Gotham Experience, bringing these neighborhoods and stories to life through art, photography, walking tours. Joining us this morning is the mastermind behind it all, the founder, Kamau Ware. So great to have you here this morning to talk more about some of this history that people should really know about.
Excellent. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth. And I want to begin talking about Lower Manhattan, right? Pertaining to the Black experience dating back to the 1600s. Now, a lot of people know about Seneca Village, but there was a lot going on in Lower Manhattan as well. And now you're doing a whole walking tour kind of highlighting the experience. Take us through some of it.
Well, Lower Manhattan has these grooves where it's not like the grid. If you follow some of those streets, you can get things like the early edge of the eastern side of the island. Like you walk down Pearl Street, it's not a straight street. It kind of ebbs and weaves and kind of almost stand there and imagine ships coming to and fro the island. And so there's different ways that the actual landscape of Lower Manhattan can take you back to a different time period, using your imagination and just using what you've researched to kind of bring those things more to life. And so it's a pretty epic, interesting time period, almost every point, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s.
Yeah.
And then last month, Abolitionist Place opened in downtown Brooklyn. And then also you have a three-part series titled More Than a Brook.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? What is that?
Well, Landmarks Preservation Commission approached us about a year ago to work with them to create an audio program based on our track record of doing different types of commissions with organizations like The Shed, working with Creative Time, Apollo Theater, and they're like, we want to create an audio experience where people can walk through Brooklyn and find out this rich trove of all these locations that connect to abolition. And you go to Brooklyn Heights, you might come across Henry Ward Beecher's Church, Plymouth Church. You might walk past 70 Willow Street and not know that Adrian Van Sinderen was there, who was an abolitionist who also employed James E. Pennington, who, like Frederick Douglass, escaped from Maryland and came to New York City. And so there's just so many locations in New York City, period, but in particular in Brooklyn. And Brooklyn was once 6 different towns, but Dumbo, Fort Greene, Brooklyn Heights, those areas, the oldest part of Brooklyn that was going back to, before it was a city.
Plymouth Church is full of history.
Yes.
That's the church that has the section up top that Black folks used to sit up, and they had a wall that was a certain height, so when they were, if you were sitting in the pews below, you couldn't see anybody up there. And the history there is just unbelievable when you walk through. And then there's Manuel Plaza as well. Tell us a little bit about Manuel Plaza, and because that's something not many people know.
Yeah, well, we were, once again, working with a government agency, the New York Environment Protection Agency in city parks. And we were, once again, approached because we were doing work with these different experiences walking around. And there's a community known as Land of the Blacks that most people don't know about, and it predates New York City. So you talk about Seneca Village or Harlem, it's worth knowing that one of the first ethnic enclaves of this territory was a Black community. That's in parts of what is now Tribeca, Soho, Greenwich Village, circa 1643. And so Manuel Plaza is a namesake of 5 different men of African descent who self-emancipated in 1644, 43, and it's right there between Lafayette and Bowery. And so it's a cool plaza to go to, relax, contemplate, and that's what I think days like Juneteenth really give us, is a chance to celebrate but also contemplate. We have our joy, but also ask ourselves questions like, why did it take until 1865 to find out that people were free, and what happened after Reconstruction? Why do we have a Dr. King? We still kind of took back steps and forward steps, and that's part of our country, so it's worth knowing that.
And then literally, we have no idea that we are literally walking through history in all parts of the city.
1,000%.
All the work that you're doing is obviously incredible.
Thank you.
And it becomes no surprise at all that you've been commissioned to put something together for Lincoln Center.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Well, that was somewhat of a dream project, something that happens a lot when you're an artist, is you have these inner child goals. And I've been working on creating a graphic novel series that integrates with our walking experiences for some time. It's one of those things that I'm going to get done, but it's I've spent so much time trying to get it just right. But when Lincoln Center approached us to do a commission about San Juan Hill, another Black community that people often don't know existed, it's like, well, what if we did like a digital comic book? We take some of the history, take this style I've been developing for over 10 years, and take the archives, but then also find a way to tell stories with human beings who are alive right now. So I can use photography to bring them into the creative process, and then have this like historic fictive story. Amazing. And it's a digital comic book, it's online, so similar to what we discussed earlier. Anybody can use their phone or computer and have free access to these programs and really begin to get their education up.
Yeah, that's amazing. In the Seneca Village, by the way, do they still have the signs in Central Park for the walking section? And then can people access, I mean, I did a piece on Seneca Village where they took me to the museum to look at some of the artifacts that they excavated from the ground of Central Park. Can people access that? Like, do you
I'm
know?
not certain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to be able to answer that with some level of definitiveness. But one thing I've learned about being like an artist and a historian, some things you can be creative about. If you don't know certain things, just say you don't know.
I got you. No, I don't know either. I should know. I should know the answer too. Good stuff. Where do you see your program going from here?
Well, I would love to see outside be like a classroom.
Yeah.
I think I grew up as an educator. My mom's a retired educator. I love being in classrooms. I love teaching children. I love working with adults and, you know, people who have doctorates. But I think one thing about the actual meaning pedagogy is it means like, you know, to lead with the foot. Like if you got a pedicure,
Literally.
that means you're going to do something with your feet, right? So pedagogy really means being outside, walking around and learning from what's around you. And I think that New York City is one of the most incredible canvases in the world to study. There's so many invisible layers and visible layers that you can learn from. And so one step at a time, you can create these different kind of public works and rename certain spaces. So if you're just having a casual day with your family or by yourself, you can tap in and learn a lot.
A wonderful work that you're doing. Kamau Ware, thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Good stuff.
Nice to meet
Appreciate
you.
it.